Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you've ever looked through your change and thought, this quarter could be worth something, you might be right. Today we're counting down the top 6 most valuable Canadian 1-cent coins that are selling for big money in today's coin market. Make sure you watch until the end because the number 1 coin on this list sold for a jaw-dropping amount that could literally change your life, so let's get it started. Top 1. 2006 Canada 1-cent coin featuring Queen Elizabeth II. Now, this coin might look like an ordinary penny, but some examples in extra fine condition are attracting collectors and fetching surprisingly high values in today's numismatic market. So, let's dig into its history, design, metal composition, and market value in US dollars and find out why this little copper-colored coin is worth a second look. To truly understand the 2006 Canadian 1-cent coin, we need to go back in time a bit. Canada first introduced the 1-cent coin in 1858, under the reign of Queen Victoria. Over the decades, it became a staple of Canadian currency and an everyday symbol of national pride. Fast forward to 2006, and the penny was nearing the end of its journey. The Royal Canadian Mint was still producing millions of them for circulation, but rising production costs and inflation were making it increasingly uneconomical. In fact, just 6 years later, in 2012, the Canadian government officially discontinued the penny. That decision instantly turned modern pennies, like the 2006 issue, into collectible relics of Canada's monetary past. So while the 2006 penny is not ancient, it belongs to the final chapter of Canada's long penny tradition. Now let's look closely at the design of this beautiful coin. On the obverse, or front side, you'll see the effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Susanna Blunt. This particular portrait was introduced in 2003, and unlike earlier versions, it shows the Queen without a crown, a more natural, mature, and realistic depiction that Canadians quickly grew to love. The Elizabeth II DUG, or Regina, which stands for Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen. On the reverse, you'll find the iconic 2 maple leaves on a single twig, designed by George Kruger Gray, whose initials, K.G., are engraved beneath the leaves. This design has appeared on Canadian pennies since 1937, symbolizing Canada's natural beauty and strength. As for the mint mark, the 2006 Canadian 1-cent coin was struck by the Royal Canadian Mint, located in Winnipeg, Manitoba. The coin typically bears no visible mint mark, as all regular circulation coins from this period were produced there. However, proof-like or collector versions may carry subtle differences in finish and sharpness that make them distinct. By 2006, the Canadian penny had undergone several material changes to cut production costs. The 2006 1-cent coin is composed of 94% steel, 1.5% nickel, and 4.5% copper plating, giving it that rich reddish-brown shine while remaining magnetic due to the steel core. Here are the key specifications: weight 2.35 grams, diameter 19.05 millimeters, edge plane, shape round. This was part of Canada's modern penny series that used multiply-plated steel technology, a major shift from the earlier solid bronze and zinc versions. Now, condition plays a huge role in determining a coin's value. When we say extra fine or condition, we mean that the coin shows light wear only on the highest points, with sharp details and a clean, attractive surface. The Queen's facial features should remain clear and detailed, and the maple leaves should retain visible veins and edges. Coins in this condition have seen minimal circulation and are often stored carefully by collectors because pennies were so commonly used. Finding a 2006 coin in extra fine or mint state condition is less common than you might think, and that's where its collector appeal begins. Now the big question: how much is the 2006 Canada 1-cent coin worth today in the collector's market? The value depends on condition, rarity, and any errors or special mint features. Here's a breakdown of current estimated market values in US dollars. Condition: estimated value. Notes: circulated 2 cents, 5 cents, common pocket change, extra fine 20 cents, 50 cents, light wear, strong details, uncirculated $1, $3, sharp luster, no scratches, proof or special edition $3, $7 from collector sets, error varieties $10, $30 plus, scarce and collectible. These values may not seem huge right now, but they've been steadily increasing since the penny was retired in 2012. Many collectors are now assembling full runs of modern Canadian cents, pushing prices upward for high-grade examples. There are also a few error varieties known from the 2006 issue. Some coins were struck off-center, showing a partial design or extra blank metal around the edge. Others display die cracks, planchet flaws, or repunched dates. Such minting errors can make a coin unique, and collectors love unique depending on how noticeable the error is. Prices can range from $10 up to $100 or more for dramatic examples. Collectors also value coins that come from uncirculated rolls or mint sets, as they retain full detail and original mint luster. Here's a fun fact: the 2006 penny was among the first to feature the Royal Canadian Mint's advanced multiply plating process. which increased durability and lowered costs. Another fun bit. 2006 was also one of the last years before the penny's production numbers began to decline. That makes high-quality examples from this year especially collectible for those documenting the penny's final decade. The Canada 2006 1-cent coin may not be made of gold or silver, but its historical importance and design legacy make it a treasured collectible for collectors. Owning one in extra fine or uncirculated condition is like holding a piece of everyday Canadian history, a coin that millions used, but only a few preserved in near-perfect state as time goes on and high-quality examples disappear from circulation. Their market value will likely continue to rise, especially among collectors who appreciate modern coinage and the story of Canada's farewell to the penny. Top 2. The 2005 Canada 1-cent coin, featuring Queen Elizabeth II. You might think it's just an ordinary penny, but in extra fine condition. This coin has become a collector's favorite, and some examples are already trading for impressive prices in today's coin market. So, let's uncover its history, design details, minting secrets, and true market value in dollars. The story of the Canadian penny goes way back to 1858, when Canada first introduced the 1-cent coin under Queen Victoria. For over 150 years, the penny was part of everyday life, used by generations of Canadians for small purchases and change. By the early 2000s, though, inflation had made the 1-cent coin practically useless in commerce. It cost more to produce a penny than its actual face value. Still, the penny remained an important cultural symbol, so in 2005, the Royal Canadian Mint continued to strike millions of them for circulation, but this was part of the final era of the Canadian penny, which would eventually be discontinued in 2012. That makes coins from 2005 through 2012 especially interesting to collectors. They represent the last chapter of the Canadian cent. Let's look at the obverse side, or the front of the coin. Here we see Queen Elizabeth II, facing right, designed by Susanna Blunt. This portrait, introduced in 2003, replaced the older crowned image of the Queen. It shows her without a crown, giving the design a more personal human touch, symbolizing her long reign and close connection with the people of Canada. Around the edge, you'll see the Elizabeth II DEG Regina, which means Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen. This version of the Queen's portrait remained on Canadian coins for decades and became one of the most recognized designs in modern Canadian coinage. Now, flip the coin over and you'll find one of the most beloved designs in Canadian history, the two maple leaves on a single twig. This classic artwork was created by George Kruger Gray back in 1937, and his initials KG appear beneath the leaves on every Canadian penny. The maple leaf is, of course, Canada's national symbol, representing unity, nature, and pride. The simplicity of the design makes it instantly recognizable, even outside of Canada. The date 2005 sits at the bottom, with the word Canada above the maple leaves, and the denomination 1 cent displayed clearly at the top. The 2005 1-cent coin was struck by the Royal Canadian Mint, primarily at its Winnipeg facility, although these coins don't carry a visible mint mark. All circulation pieces from this period came from that mint. By 2005, the Royal Canadian Mint had switched to using multiply plated steel technology, a cost-effective and durable method. Here are the key specs: composition: 94% steel, 1.5% nickel, 4.5% copper. Plating weight: 2.35 grams. Diameter: 19.05 millimeters. Edge: plain shape, round because of the steel core. The 2005 penny is magnetic, unlike older bronze versions. Now, let's talk about condition, one of the most important factors in determining a coin's value. A 2005 Canada 1-cent coin in extra fine condition means it has only light wear, mainly on the highest points. The Queen's hair details and facial features should be sharp, and the maple leaves should still have visible veins and texture. Coins in this condition often have been lightly circulated, handled carefully, and show original color and luster. While millions of pennies were produced, finding one in extra fine or mint state condition is becoming rarer, as most were spent or damaged over time. Collectors today look for these coins because they show the perfect balance, circulated enough to be authentic, yet preserved enough to display their beauty. Now, what everyone wants to know: how much is the 2005 Canada 1-cent coin worth today? Although it's a common coin, its value depends on condition, rarity, and any unique features or errors. Here's a look at current market estimates in US dollars. Condition: estimated value. Collector notes: circulated 2 cents, 5 cents. Common pocket change: extra fine 20 cents, 40 cents. Clean, minimal wear about uncirculated 50 cents. $1 sharper detail, light luster uncirculated. $1. $3 high-grade collector coin, proof or special mint set. $3. $6 polished surfaces, limited mintage era varieties. $10, $50 plus rare and highly collectible. Even though the face value is just 1 cent, collectors are willing to pay many times that amount for coins with eye appeal, rarity, or pristine condition, and as time passes, high-quality examples are only becoming more valuable, especially since the penny was officially retired. Some 2005 pennies also have rare minting errors that can significantly increase their value. Collectors have reported examples with off-center strikes, double die obverse or reverse planchet flaws, die cracks, or filled digits. Depending on how dramatic the error is, prices can jump anywhere from $10 up to $100 or more. Always inspect your coins under good lighting or with a magnifying glass. You never know what you might find. Here's a fun fact: even though 2005 pennies are made of steel, they still have that familiar copper look because of their outer plating. Over time, however, the plating can wear off, revealing a dull gray tone underneath, so storing them in a dry place helps preserve their shine. Also, the 2005 issue was produced in huge quantities, but the mint sets and uncirculated rolls are much scarcer today. If you come across an original sealed roll or proof set, it could be worth holding on to. The Canada 2005 1-cent coin may seem like a small piece of change, but it represents an important piece of Canadian history. It carries the legacy of Queen Elizabeth II, the artistic brilliance of George Kruger Gray, and the innovation of modern minting technology in extra fine or uncirculated condition. It's already a desirable collectible, and as the years go by, values are expected to rise, especially for coins preserved in mint state quality or with striking errors. So next time you come across a 2005 Canadian penny, take a closer look. You might be holding a tiny shiny piece of history that's worth far more than a single cent. Top 3. The 2004 Canada 1-cent coin, featuring Queen Elizabeth II. It might look like just another penny, but in extra fine condition. This coin has become a collector's favorite, and depending on its quality and rarity, it can be worth more than you'd expect in today's market. So let's dive into the history, background, minting details, and current collector value of this beautiful 2004 Canadian cent. The Canadian 1-cent coin, or penny, has been part of Canada's currency since 1858. During the reign of Queen Victoria for more than 150 years, the penny played a huge role in daily life, representing the smallest unit of Canadian money. By 2004, however, the penny was already nearing the end of its long journey. The Royal Canadian Mint continued to produce it for circulation, but its actual buying power had dropped to nearly nothing. Still, the penny remained a symbol of Canadian identity, and many Canadians were sentimentally attached to it. That made each year of its late production, including 2004, part of the coin's final era before its eventual discontinuation in 2012. So when you hold a 2004 penny, you're holding a small but meaningful piece of Canadian monetary history, a reminder of an era that's now gone. Now, let's look at the obverse, the front of the coin. It features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Susanna Blunt. This portrait was first introduced in 2003, replacing the older crown design. Unlike earlier portraits, this version shows the Queen without a crown, symbolizing dignity, humility, and a modern reflection of her long reign. The Elizabeth II Deg Regina, which translates to Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen. This portrait, designed by Blunt, is still used on Canadian coins today, marking one of the longest-running designs in the nation's history. Flip the coin over, and you'll see the classic maple leaf design, one of the most beloved coin motifs in Canadian numismatics. This artwork, created by George Kruger Gray in 1937, features two maple leaves on a single twig, symbolizing unity, strength, and the natural beauty of Canada. Below the leaves, you'll find the designer's initials KG, paying tribute to the artist who created this timeless symbol. The words Canada 1 cent and the year 2004 complete the design. This simple yet elegant layout became a signature of Canadian coinage for decades, and it's instantly recognizable to collectors around the world. The 2004 1-cent coin was minted by the Royal Canadian Mint, located in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Although Canadian pennies from this period don't show a visible mint mark, they were struck exclusively at this minting facility. By 2004, the Royal Canadian Mint had introduced multiply plated steel technology, designed to reduce production costs while maintaining a high-quality finish. Here are the key specifications of the 2004 Canadian cent composition: 94% steel, 1.5% nickel, and 4.5% copper. Plating weight: 2.35 grams. Diameter: 19.05 millimeters. Edge: plain shape, round. The copper plating gives the coin its signature red-brown color, but beneath that lies a steel core, which makes the coin magnetic. You can test this easily with a small magnet. It's a fun fact many collectors enjoy trying out. When we talk about the 2004 Canadian 1-cent coin in extra fine condition, we're referring to a coin that's lightly circulated but still sharp and detailed in extra fine grade. The Queen's portrait remains crisp, the hair details are visible, and the maple leaves retain strong definition and veins. The coin may have small signs of handling, but no major scratches, dents, or discoloration. This level of preservation makes it a desirable grade for collectors, especially since finding modern pennies in such good condition is becoming harder as they disappear from circulation. Now the question you've been waiting for: what's the value of the 2004 Canada 1 cent coin in today's market? While the face value is just 1 cent, collectors are paying more depending on condition, rarity, and any unique features such as errors. Here's the current estimated value in US dollars. Condition estimated value: collector notes, circulated 2 cents, 5 cents, common pocket change, extra fine 20 cents, 40 cents, light wear, attractive color about uncirculated 50 cents, $1 near mint, strong luster uncirculated $1, $3 collector grade, full detail proof or mint set example $3, $7 polished, brilliant surfaces error coin $10, $50 plus rare collector piece. These values reflect recent collector sales and online auction trends. Even though these coins are modern, collectors are increasingly paying more for high-quality, extra fine or uncirculated examples, especially as Canada no longer mints the penny. Some 2004 Canadian cents are especially valuable because of minting errors. A few known examples include off-center strikes, die cracks, planchet errors, double die, obverse or reverse. These errors can make your coin unique, and collectors will often pay anywhere from $10 up to $100 or more, depending on the visibility and rarity of the mistake. So always check your coins carefully under good light. You never know what treasure you might find. The 2004 penny was one of the first full production years using the modern multiply plated steel process. It marks the second year of the Susanna Blunt portrait on Canadian coins, making it a transitional collectible because pennies were officially discontinued in 2012. Coins like the 2004 issue are now considered part of the farewell decade for the Canadian cent. That makes them an excellent addition to any collection documenting the end of the penny era. The Canada 2004 1 cent coin may not contain gold or silver, but its historical importance, classic design, and connection to Queen Elizabeth II's long reign make it a valuable keepsake for collectors in extra fine or uncirculated condition. These coins are becoming scarcer each year, and their value is slowly but steadily increasing. If you find one with strong details and a bright, copper-like shine, keep it safe because one day, it could be worth much more than just a cent. Top 4. The 2003 Canada 1 cent coin featuring Queen Elizabeth II. This little copper-colored coin might look ordinary at first glance, but it marks a historic design change and could be worth more than you think, especially in extra fine condition. So, stay tuned as we explore its history, background, mint details, and today's collector market value in US dollars. The Canadian 1 cent coin, or as many call it, the penny, has a long and proud history dating back to 1858, when the first Canadian pennies were struck under Queen Victoria. For over a century, the penny was a symbol of everyday Canadian life, used for generations in small purchases and children's piggy banks. By the early 2000s, though, the world had changed and so had Canadian coinage. In 2003, the Royal Canadian Mint introduced a brand new portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Canadian artist Susanna Blunt. This was a major event. It was the first time in over 50 years that the Queen appeared without a crown on a Canadian coin. Her calm, natural look represented a more modern, approachable image of the monarch, and the design became instantly iconic. So the 2003 1 cent coin was not just another penny, it was the first year of a completely new obverse design, marking a new era in Canadian coinage history. Let's take a closer look at this coin's beautiful design. On the obverse, we have the new effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Susanna Blunt, as mentioned earlier. Her uncluttered, realistic portrait captures dignity and warmth, a striking contrast to the more formal crown portraits used before. On the reverse, you'll find one of Canada's most iconic images, 2 maple leaves on a single twig, designed by George Kruger Gray. His initials, KG, appear just below the leaves. The maple leaf has always been a proud Canadian symbol representing unity, peace, and strength, and this design had already been used on pennies since 1937. It's incredible that this artwork from the 1930s continued to represent Canada well into the 21st century. Now let's talk about what the coin is actually made of. In 2003, the Royal Canadian Mint produced the 1 cent coin using a multiply plated steel composition, primarily steel, coated with copper plating to give it that classic reddish-brown color. Here are the key specs: weight, 2.35 grams, diameter, 19.05 millimeters, edge, plain composition, 94% steel, 1.5% nickel, and 4.5% copper plating. This change to a steel core made the coin magnetic. Unlike older pennies made of bronze or zinc, it was an important cost-saving measure as copper prices were rising and the 1 cent coin's purchasing power was shrinking. Now, when we talk about mint marks on Canadian coins, you might notice that the 2003 1 cent coin doesn't have a visible mint mark letter like P or W. However, some versions do feature a small P mint mark below the Queen's portrait. This indicates that the coin was made with a multiply-plated steel composition at the Winnipeg Mint. The Royal Canadian Mint operates two facilities: the Ottawa Mint, mainly for collector and proof coins, the Winnipeg Mint, for mass circulation coins like this one. So, whether your 2003 penny has a small p or not, it's still a true Canadian classic, but the P versions are slightly more collectible due to their distinct production type. The condition of your 2003 penny makes a big difference in its value. Coins in extra fine condition show light circulation wear. You'll still see sharp details on the maple leaves, clear veins, and a strong outline of the Queen's portrait with minimal flattening. Collectors look for bright copper color, clean surfaces, and no major scratches or corrosion. Since most of these coins were used in everyday transactions, finding one in extra fine or uncirculated condition can be surprisingly tough, and that's where the real value lies. Now, let's talk about what you came for. The current market value of the 2003 Canada 1 cent coin. Here's what collectors are paying today: circulated condition, 2 cents, 5 cents; extra fine condition, 25 cents, 50 cents; uncirculated, $1, $3; brilliant uncirculated or proof-like sets, $3, $7; rare errors or misstrikes, $10, $50 or more depending on rarity. Error varieties like off-center strikes, double dies, or missing plating are especially sought after by collectors and can dramatically increase the coin's value. While not every 2003 penny is worth a fortune, coins in pristine condition with unique features are slowly appreciating as time passes, especially now that Canada discontinued the penny in 2012. The 2003 Canadian cent holds special importance because it was the first issue with the new Queen Elizabeth II designed by Susanna Blunt. That makes it a key year for collectors focusing on modern Canadian coins. It also represents the beginning of the final decade for the Canadian penny, since production stopped less than 10 years later. With each passing year, fewer of these coins remain in high-grade condition, making them a smart addition for collectors who love coins that tell a story about transition and change. So, there you have it, the Canada 2003 1 cent coin, a small but mighty piece of Canadian history. From the new portrait of Queen Elizabeth II to the symbolic maple leaves designed over 80 years earlier, this coin beautifully blends old and new. Top 5. The 2000 Canada 1 cent coin, featuring Queen Elizabeth II. This small copper-colored penny may seem ordinary, but it carries an important place in Canadian coinage history, and in extra fine condition, it can fetch a surprising value among collectors today. So, sit back and join me as we uncover the history, background, mint details, and market value of the Canada 2001 cent coin. The year 2000 marked the beginning of a brand new millennium, and it was a time of reflection and change across the world. In Canada, the humble 1 cent coin, often called the penny, had been in circulation for over 140 years, ever since 1858. When the very first Canadian cent was struck under Queen Victoria. By the year 2000, the penny had become more symbolic than useful in everyday commerce. But despite its small face value, it remained one of the most recognizable and beloved coins in Canada's history. The 2000 issue came near the end of the Queen's 5th decade on the throne, and just a few years before the Royal Canadian Mint would transition to a new portrait of Elizabeth II in 2003. So, the 2000 penny represents one of the final years featuring the 4th effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Dora de Pettery Hunt, a design used from 1990 to 2002. Now let's take a closer look at the design of this historical coin. On the obverse side, we see Queen Elizabeth II, facing right, wearing the Queen's diadem crown. This portrait was sculpted by the renowned Canadian artist Dora de Pettery Hunt, the first Canadian to design a royal effigy for national coinage. This design portrays a more mature, dignified queen, symbolizing stability and grace as she entered a new century. The reverse side of the coin features one of the most iconic symbols of Canada, the two maple leaves on a single twig, designed by George Kruger Gray in 1937. This design has stood the test of time for decades, representing Canada's national identity, strength, and unity. If you look closely, you'll find the small KG initials beneath the leaves, a tribute to Kruger Gray's enduring contribution to Canadian coinage. The 2000 Canadian 1 cent coin was struck by the Royal Canadian Mint, primarily at its Winnipeg facility, known for producing circulation coins. Now, let's talk about its composition, because by this time, the Royal Canadian Mint had already begun using cost-saving materials. Before 1997, pennies were made mostly of copper and zinc. But by 2000, the mint had switched to a multiply-plated steel composition, meaning the core of the coin was steel, coated with copper plating. Here are the key specifications: weight 2.35 grams, diameter 19.05 millimeters, thickness 1.45 millimeters, edge plane composition 94% steel, 1.5% nickel, 4.5% copper plating. This also made the coin magnetic, unlike the older solid bronze pennies of the 20th century. As for the mint mark, Many 2000 Canadian 1-cent coins carry a small p below the Queen's portrait. This indicates that it was made using the new multiply plated technology at the Winnipeg Mint. Now condition is everything in the coin world, and the extra fine grade is where the 2000 penny starts to stand out. An extra fine coin shows only light wear on the highest points. The Queen's facial features are still detailed, the crown lines are clear, and the maple leaves retain most of their veins and texture. Coins in this grade typically have slight luster remaining, and no major scratches or corrosion. Even though millions of 2000 pennies were produced for circulation, finding one today in extra fine or uncirculated condition is becoming harder, especially since Canada discontinued the penny in 2012. This growing scarcity in high-quality examples is what's giving the 2000 penny its collector appeal. So, what is the 2000 Canada 1-cent coin worth today? While it's true that most circulated pennies are worth face value, condition and mint variations can make a big difference. Here's the current market value range: circulated condition, 2 cents, 5 cents; extra fine condition, 25 cents, 50 cents; uncirculated, $1, $3; proof like or brilliant uncirculated sets, $3, $8; error coins, $10, $50 or more. Collectors are especially interested in the 2000p mint mark pennies, as these were among the first mass-produced coins made using the new plated steel technology, making them a historical variety. While not extremely rare, coins in superb condition or with unique mint errors are fetching surprisingly high prices on collector markets and online auctions. The 2000 Canadian 1-cent coin stands at the crossroads of two eras. It was one of the last pennies struck before Canada moved to the 21st century. Design change in 2003. It combines the classic crown portrait of Queen Elizabeth II with the modern steel composition that would define the final decade of the Canadian penny's existence. For collectors, that makes it both historically important and visually appealing. A small coin that represents a big moment in the story of Canadian currency. When Canada officially stopped minting pennies in 2012, coins like this one instantly became pieces of national nostalgia, tiny time capsules from a simpler economic era. So there you have it, the Canada 2001 cent coin, featuring Queen Elizabeth II and the timeless maple leaf design in extra fine condition. This coin isn't just a piece of small change, it's a collectible artifact marking the transition between centuries, materials and designs. Top 6. The 1997 Canada 1-cent coin featuring Queen Elizabeth II. This coin might seem like ordinary pocket change, but it actually represents a turning point in Canadian coinage and in extra fine condition. It can hold more value than you might think. So, let's uncover the full story from its history and design to its mint details and collector market value in US dollars today. To understand the importance of the 1997 Canadian 1-cent coin, we need to go back to its origins. The Canadian penny, officially the 1-cent coin, was first introduced in 1858 under Queen Victoria. It remained a staple of Canadian everyday life for more than 150 years. By the 1990s, however, the world and Canada's currency system was rapidly changing. The Royal Canadian Mint began modernizing production to reduce costs and improve efficiency. The 1997 penny was part of that transformation. Why is this year special? Because 1997 was the first year Canada switched from the traditional bronze and zinc composition to a new, cost-effective copper-plated zinc core. That means the 1997 1-cent coin is a transitional year, a modernized version of Canada's most classic coin. Now let's look at the obverse side, the side that features Queen Elizabeth II. This portrait was designed by the famous Canadian sculptor Dora de Pettery Hunt, and it was first introduced in 1990. In this portrait, Queen Elizabeth II faces right, wearing the diadem crown, the same crown she wore during her coronation in 1953. This design stayed on Canadian coins until 2002 and is admired for showing a mature and graceful image of the Queen, a tribute to her decades of leadership and dedication. Around the edge, you'll see the Latin Elizabeth II dag e Regina, meaning Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen. Flip the coin over, and you'll find one of Canada's most famous symbols, the two maple leaves on a single twig. This timeless design was created by George Kruger Gray in 1937 and has appeared on nearly every Canadian penny since. It's simple yet powerful, representing peace, unity, and the natural beauty of Canada. Below the leaves, you'll notice the designer's initials KG, a small but historic mark found on millions of coins, and above the design, you'll see the word Canada, while below it, the date 1997 is engraved with precision. The 1997 penny is especially interesting because it marks a major change in composition. Let's go through the specs. Weight 2.25 grams, diameter 19.05 millimeters, thickness 1.45 millimeters, edge plain, composition 98.4% zinc, 1.6% copper plating. That's right, unlike earlier coins made mostly of bronze, this 1997 version has a zinc core coated in copper. It was minted by the Royal Canadian Mint, primarily at the Winnipeg facility, which produces circulation coins for all of Canada. You might also notice that some coins feature a small P mint mark under the Queen's portrait. These were test coins for the new multiply plated steel technology. Those P coins are scarcer and considered more collectible today. Now, let's talk about coin grading because condition plays a major role in determining value. A 1997 Canada 1-cent coin in extra fine condition means it has very light wear from circulation. The Queen's facial features remain sharp, the maple leaf veins are visible, and the surfaces still show a light. Even shine coins in this condition were likely handled briefly but not heavily circulated. They're far more desirable to collectors than average circulated examples, especially if the copper plating is clean and the coin has no major scratches or discoloration. Now for the big question: what's the value of a 1997 Canadian 1-cent coin today? While most circulated examples still trade for face value, collectors are willing to pay a premium for coins in better grades. Here's a general price guide: circulated condition 1 cent 3 cents, extra fine 25 cents 50 cents, uncirculated $1 $3, proof like or brilliant, uncirculated for mint sets $3 $6, error coins $10 $50 or more, depending on the rarity and condition. While these values may not seem huge, remember collectors prize these coins for their historical importance, not just their dollar amount. And because this coin represents the start of a new minting era, it's becoming more collectible every year, especially now that Canada no longer makes pennies. The 1997 Canadian penny stands at a very unique point in history. It bridges the gap between traditional bronze coinage and modern copper-plated zinc, showing how Canada adapted to changing times while preserving its national identity. It also features the second-to-last portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, used before the modern no-crown portrait was introduced in 2003. So, when you hold a 1997 Canadian cent, you're holding the end of one era and the beginning of another, a piece of transition that every collector should appreciate. And since pennies were discontinued in 2012, the number of surviving high-quality examples will only decrease over time, making well-preserved coins even more collectible in the years ahead. So there you have it, the Canada 1997 1-cent coin, featuring Queen Elizabeth II and the timeless maple leaf design. It may be small in size, but it carries a big story, from the modernization of the Royal Canadian Mint to the legacy of the Canadian penny itself in extra fine condition. This coin is not just a relic of the 1990s, it's a part of Canada's monetary evolution and a worthy addition to any serious coin collection. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay updated on more rare and valuable coin stories from the Coin Spot.